Episode 102, Mom's Basement MMA. As always, it is your boy Baxter Putnam. I am here talking to one of my favorite fighters in the game, pound for pound. He's just an inspiring man, and I'm really excited to have him back. It's been about 6 or 7 months since I last talked to Moon Cosme, and he's back. So, Moon, thank you. Thank you for being here. And wow, dude, we got a lot to talk about.
Thank you. Number one, thank you for having me. Like I appreciate it always, man.
Let's start off about what you got going on outside of the cage. You are an entrepreneur. You're a teacher. You're all these other things outside of the cage that people outside of Warner Robins just don't know about.
Yeah.
And I really wanted to kind of like focus in on your brand, Lunar Unlimited. We got the crisp drip right there. Tell me a little bit about what your brand is supposed to be about. Like, what's your mission? What are you trying to achieve with that brand? Right. and just give people the lowdown. Like, what is it, and why do they need to know about it?
All right. So obviously my fight name is Amun, Moon Cosme. My nickname has been Moon since I was probably like 14. It has become something that I have embraced. They actually mentioned it on the last iKON show where I fought, where they introduced me on the walkout. There's like Amun, you know, his nickname is Moon, but Amun, if you look at it, the Arabic meaning or the Egyptian meaning for it is the sun or the sun god. So he's the sun and the moon. And I kind of laughed at that because that used to be an inside joke I said to myself. I never told them about like the meaning of Amun. So it was funny that they went back and like searched it and did their research. It was super thorough, by the way. And I'm always looking for balance, and like the moon provides like a balance in my life as far as like the duality. I'm super high energy. I live a very chaotic life. As far as you said, even outside the cage, I'm always busy doing stuff. And I always knew I wanted to open a business. I wanted it to be something moon related, but I didn't want it to be just about fighting, because like fighting is a tiny part of what I do and who I am. So me and my sister were sitting around one day. She was like, Luna, moon phase it, and she was like, I was like, I don't want to be limited to one thing. She was like, okay, Lunar Unlimited. And I was like, nah, I don't like it. And then like it sat on my head and I was like,
I like it.
Actually a really, really good idea. So credit goes out to my sister. She came up with it. She helped me come up with it. And for me, I've had a lot of hurdles in my life, physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, just everywhere. And the premise of my brand is you got to test your limits to know your limits. When you know your limits, you can push your limits. And when you can push your limits, then you can work to break your limits. And you always hear the saying, sky's the limit, sky's the limit. And I'm like, nah, shoot for the moon. Like the sky's only a limit if you make it, right? And if a lot of times, if we're aiming for 10 seems like it's so far away. But if I told you to do 100, you could probably knock out 10 like it wasn't nothing. So like in repetitions of whatever you're doing. So for me, it's essentially just setting the bar so high that even if you fail, you will be much farther than you've ever been if you would have set that bar that low. And that kind of like goes to one of my favorite motivational sayings is like, people don't fail in life because they aim high and miss, because they aim low and succeed. It's like, oh, let's be realistic about this. And let's get here in 10 years. It's like, oh, you can get that there in 3 years, you know, if with consistent work and action. So through my brand, I kind of want to do what the moon does for the earth. Like the moon's job for the earth is to shine light, you know, where there's darkness. Like it's your form of light at night when there's no other lights. So like where times are hard, times are rough, and where some people don't know those limits that they have, like I want to be able to inspire others and kind of build my brand. And this is just the merchandise side of it, but I've actually been hired now to do coaching, consulting, and I've been doing some fitness as well as martial arts training as far as on the self-defense aspect. I run all of that out of my Lunar Unlimited business. So in the very near future, I'll be going on the road doing seminars and stuff. But as far as out of my business, I'm trying to get the brand out there. And the brand is Lunar Unlimited. It's not a fight brand like, oh, you got to be a fighter to do this. I just dropped some new merchandise thanks to appearingwithmillions.co. So like you'll see all kind of like hoodies and shirts and caps, you know, with the brand on there. I don't want to just be known as Moon the fighter. I want to do stuff outside of there. Fighting is only 10% of what I do. And right now building my brand and my company, Lunar Unlimited, is what's going on outside the cage. So, hey, rockets travel really fast. So don't wait till the rocket to the moon is gone before you decide you want to jump on. That's what I'm telling everybody.
Absolutely. One of the things that I like so much about fighting, the fight game, talking to fighters, but more specifically talking to people like you, is you're so relatable. Like, this is the only sport I can think of where fighters are like everyday normal people. They're the people that work in a gas station. They're the people that show up on the trash truck and dump your trash in the bin. They're the people that work in corporate America. They're teachers. Yeah. It's super relatable. They're everyday people that are working regular jobs to pay their mortgage, because fighting, shocker of all shockers, it doesn't pay the bills for most of y'all. It doesn't.
Yes.
So you have to have something else to do. Most of the time, fighters that are fighting at the highest levels in the world, they are teaching your kids karate. They're teaching your kids jujitsu. They're wrestling coaches in high school. They've got normal things going on. And when I think about it, and it's like, if you're not an athlete, but there's just something out there in your life that you wish to achieve or you wish to pursue, right? Like we have all these objections because we're scared. So it's like, oh, here's my safety net. I sell real estate, for example. So I'm always selling houses. I don't have time to train for a marathon. It's like, well, what are these guys doing? There's always time. It's just prioritization of your time. I mean, there's always a will. There's always a possibility. And can you tell people, like, what does a typical day look like for you? Because you got a lot of ventures, you got a lot of things going on outside of the normal 9 to 5, but then being a fighter and just training and staying in shape, watching your weight, training, staying sharp, that in itself is a full-time job. So I got to do a hard pause, and I got to ask you, number one, what are your tips to an average Joe like me who's just looking to get in better shape and to do a little bit better, whether it has to do with something personal, athletic? Just talk to me about, when you want to achieve something, what are some of the things that you have done? How do you prioritize your time? And how are you able to put your best up here, not only into your training, but also into your other non-fighting ventures?
Okay, so that's a lot, and I'm gonna try and bring all that in and make it simple. So if you follow me on social media, I do these little segments anytime I post daily on my story. It's called Words of Wisdom, and I started adding it to a highlight reel because a lot of people are like, oh man, what's that thing you said the other day? So I just made it a highlight on my page, so you could like go back and watch these different words of wisdom. And I get the question when people see where I'm at now. To me, I'm nowhere, but like, compared to where everybody else is, they're like, oh my God, you're so far ahead of the game, this, that, and the third, blah, blah. I'm like, I still got so far to go. And the crazy part about life is no matter how far you go, there will always be farther to go. So I'll reference it to fitness because everybody wants to be in better shape. Everybody wants to be healthier, or they want to look better, or they want to feel better. Who doesn't want to look better, feel better, and enjoy life, regardless of you're an athlete or I don't like to say like a normal, like an average person, but if you're a person that lives a normalized life, a 9 to 5, kids, don't have kids, but have limited time. And people ask me what I'm doing now, thinking that if they do what I do now, they'll get the results I have now. No, what I'm doing now is a result of what I've been doing for the past 8 to 10 years. Mm-hmm. So the easiest way to say, well, how do you make time? How do you prioritize? How do you do this, right? Because I'm going to tell you, after I tell you this, I'm going to tell you what tomorrow looks like. And you're like, this is your Monday. And you're like, holy shit. And I'm like, yes, this goes on from Monday to Friday. And then Saturday is half of this day. It's not all, it's a half day. And then Sunday, I have to try and find a way to recover and get everything back before. All right, so I'm going to explain that to you, but I'm going to explain this to you first. Prioritizing your priorities. I know it sounds crazy, but if everything's a priority, then nothing's a priority. Okay. If you say, man, say you got a girlfriend or wife and kids and a job, and you got to take care of all of that. And then you say, okay, but my physical health and then my mental health. And you say, okay, these are my priorities. All right. What's the most important? You're like, well, my girl. Okay. And then I'll say, okay, well, if your mental health isn't in check, how do you think your relationship with your kids, your job, your girl, and all this stuff? So maybe that should be the most important for you in this stage of your life. Then you say, okay, well, what's next? I'm not really looking to be in like a strongman competition, but I'd like to be physically better. It's like, okay, cool. Is you taking time away from your family and kids to get in shape going to be beneficial to your home life? A little bit, probably not. So thinking, well, maybe your next priority should be the family and the kids, because they need your time when you're not at work. Because when you're at work, it's not time with them, but it's time that you are able to provide for them. So say, okay, well, my priority is my mental health, and everybody's on this mental health kick. Well, how do I get mental health? I can't tell you what that is for you. That would be something that you have to work out through yourself, things of that nature. So for me, I'm like, what's priority number one? Right now, it's fighting. So in order to fight, I have to be good physical and mental shape. So that means not getting out of shape. That means eating a consistently clean diet, training consistently, and working out. I do this shit every fucking day. So for me, I've already built up this tolerance of doing it every day that it doesn't even feel like a burden or it gets in the way, because that's the way I designed my life. Before I had 2 full-time jobs, I started training. I dropped 1 full-time job so I can have a full-time job and train. I knew I wanted to compete. So on my off days, I have my schedule switched so I could work more hours on 4 days instead of 5 days. That way I could train 3 days a week, 2 days versus just on the 2 days I had off. And I made this shift on, hey, if I want it, I'm going to have to make a sacrifice. And then when I left my full-time job to go into fighting, I sacrificed almost $50,000 a year because of something that I love to do and didn't make no money doing it, literally. So it's like, there will always be sacrifices, but if you could take anything out of this, is prioritize your priorities. So everyone has different priorities. Make something small a habit until you don't have to think about it. And then when you don't have to think about it, you can replace that. So I always do this anytime I'm doing like wellness coaching, fitness coaching, nutrition coaching, whatever. Very simple. Hey, what do you eat? I eat all this, da, 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 da. How much water are you drinking? People go, I don't know. Like, da, da. Okay, we'll make water a priority. Water's number 1, cut down on fast food number 2. They're like, okay, cool. I want abs. I'm like, water's number 1, cut down on fast foods number 2. Right. Okay, but what about this supplement? Water's number 1, cut down on fast food number 2. Okay. If how many days should I work out a week? Get more active. Water number 1, cut down on fast food number 2, live a more active lifestyle number 3. Do this shit for the next 4 weeks, and then we can talk. And if you're serious and really want my help, and you do this for the next 4 weeks, if you take that serious, if you can't even do that, don't ask to hire me for help, you know? Mm-hmm. So I'm like, then you're not even helping yourself. You're taking this golden advice, and because it seems so easy, you're like, there's gotta be another way. Like, no, the secret is hard work. There is no secret to success. And the secret is
consistency.
Work.
Exactly.
That's it.
Like it's funny, and I can relate in my own small way. Like I occasionally will get DMs from these like brand new startups. Like, hey, I heard about your show, or you interviewed a fighter I like. I want to do a show. Like, what's the secret? And I'm like, work hard. Mm-hmm.
Ask them.
Work hard. Show people that you're serious. Well, how do I show people that I'm serious? By working hard. Like I there's no playbook, and I think it's like, how many people should I add on Instagram a day, or how many like people should I hit up a day? And I'm like, you're getting so bogged down in the minutia, and I think you can kind of almost carry that over into anything, like X, Y, or Z, right? Like we love to like look at like all these very small granular things. Like people want to get in shape, they immediately start looking at the supplements that you just talked about. How much creatine should I take a day? How many protein shakes do I need to take? And it's just like, oh my God.
That is, I always call it the icing on the cake. You need to have a fucking cake before you can even put that sugary, delicious icing on it, which that's the reason why most people eat cake in the first place, because of the fucking sugar. But if you just bake a regular cake, the cake just kind of tastes like sweet bread. But what do you do with that sweet bread? Add this fancy sugar and icing and sprinkles and candles and this extra foo-foo shit. And like, people want to do the last part first. And I'm like, no. Right? All right, so I taught a class this Monday that just passed. I taught the no-gi class. And after I teach class, I learned as an instructor, I'll kind of sit down, and after class was over and everybody was rolling because now they're tired and everybody's sitting down, I'm like, all right, class isn't over just yet. Everybody just sit down. What do y'all have any questions about anything we went over today? And so everybody starts thinking, because they can't talk right away because they're tired. So it's perfect timing. You're like, and then they start thinking like, I'm like, you just rolled. This is after learning the whole lesson for today. 30, 45 minutes. Then you had about 10 to 15 minutes of intense activity. And then people realize I didn't do none of the shit that I learned in. So they're like, okay, or they were trying it and it wasn't working, right? So, hey, I was trying to do this, but it wasn't working. I was trying to do it, wasn't working, right? But the big part about that is the first 45 minutes, then the icing, and then this. So I always tell people, when you're laying down this foundation of a cake and you want to know the supplements and all this, remember, flour is the first ingredient. Then you have to add these other ingredients. Then the cake isn't done. Then you got to mix it all together. And then you have to fucking bake it. And that takes time.
Yes. And people are
45 minutes, 15 minutes, and then you can't touch it. You got to just fucking wait. So look, while the heat is doing what it's doing to the cake, changing the chemistry of it, that's what's going on. While you're working out and you look in the mirror every day and you don't see a difference, you don't see a difference, and you're resting, recovering, you're drinking water, and you're cutting out fast food, and you're getting more active, and you don't see a difference every day, and 30 days go, and 60 days go, and 90 days go, you're baking that fucking cake, right? And then one day, you're like, man, I feel better. And then the second stage, somebody else looks at you and say, hey, Mr. Putnam, you look like you've been losing some weight, right? And then you're like, oh, I have, and that's another notch in the bake. And then one day you look in the mirror or you look at an old picture, you're like, fuck, it's been like 3 months. I get on a scale. Oh, fuck, I'm down 16 pounds. I am looking good. And then you're like, hey, Moon, so I've been doing everything you said, like, with these workouts now, how do I make them a little bit, I want to build some muscle now. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Do this, da, 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 da. Now you just take the ice and you put on the cake. Hey, look, how hard are you working out? I'm working out this. Okay, increase your protein, not buy a shake. Try and eat some more eggs, some this, whatever. Do these work with your body? Cool, do that. So I'm like, then I can give you everything else. But people want to they want you to give them the fucking winning numbers to the lottery. And it's like, if I had it, I'd have been gone. I wouldn't be here at this stage, right? I'd have been somewhere else. But that's the biggest thing. People want the secret, and they don't realize that there isn't a secret. But going back to the beginning, prioritize your priorities. Make that list. Maybe 5 things is still a lot. 5 things is a lot. But if you can put 5 things, but have it in order, what's the most important? And then if the one that's most important normally affects all the other stuff under it. So for me, I gave them a little roast session at the end of class. I looked at the class. I was like, they was like, hey, I was doing this, but this wasn't work. I was like, because your movements are trash. And I was like, you want me to give you all the moves to do a fatality when you don't even know how to throw a front punch, or you don't even know how to stand up and base.
Shit, you don't even know how to turn on the PlayStation.
Yeah.
you want a fatality.
Like this goddamn video game ain't plugged in. You want me to get you to finish your move. Like
it's so true. It's like that in almost every single thing in life. And you have to enjoy the grind and be present in the moment. And that's the biggest life lesson that I would give. I mean, I've been on this planet for a lot longer than most of everyone else. And I'll just tell you all, it's like, no matter what it is you're trying to do, like if your happiness is a destination, you're never going to be happy. Your happiness should never be a destination. Like today, like get up and just be present in the moment. Enjoy taking your kid to the park. Enjoy making dinner with your wife and doing the dishes, man. Like that's the best piece of life advice I can give anybody. Enjoy the day. Enjoy your moment.
So that was actually one of my words of wisdom like 2 or 3 days ago. I was like, if you're looking for an external factor to make you happy, you'll never be happy. If you say, when I work for myself, I'm going to be happy. And then when you work for yourself and realize you're a shittier boss than your actual boss, you're going to be really pissed off, because working for yourself means you're on clock 24/7. Okay, everything's in your hand. If you're a baker and you say, I'm going to open my own bake shop, you're now the baker, the accountant, the marketing manager, the clerk, the front desk, the behind the scenes, the janitor, you're everything. So now you're even less of a baker. So, and that's not to discourage people. It's just to kind of put a realization of like, if you put your happiness on something that's external, then you'll never be happy. So you got to find happiness in yourself and in those little things. And for me, it's my morning routine. Okay. So you asked me what a day looked like. Okay. So I'm going to give you what a Monday looks like for Moon, Cosme. Okay. And I like to tell people Mondays don't suck. You do. So if you're like, oh, Monday's here. Mondays don't suck. You do. It's literally a day on the calendar. You can cross it out and put suck day if you want. Like, you can put whatever the fuck you want to do in there, but Mondays don't suck. Like, it's the start of your week. Why would you even go into that attitude that Monday sucks? Because then, like, that's how you started your week off. I don't want to start off a race thinking this is a horrible race. Like, no, right? So for me, my biggest thing is my morning routine. And I had very, very down, depressed moment at one point in time, and I fell off my morning routine. And it got so hard to do because I was just like, man, like I was in such a bad spot mentally. But every time I've like revamped it and got consistent with it, it's for me, for my life, it's life changing. It's 45 minutes to 1 hour to myself that no one else owns. No, that time doesn't belong to anyone. So my first training session is normally on Monday. I train someone else. I have a client every Monday at 8:30. So whatever time, they're about 10 minutes from me. So it doesn't take me long to get to the gym. I have to get up an hour before I have to be anywhere. So if I have to be somewhere at 10, I need to be up by like 9, the latest, because everywhere I need to be is super close by. Because it takes about 30, 45 minutes for my morning routine. As soon as I get up, drink a bottle of water. Water is the essence of life. Your body's dehydrated. When you get up, kickstart your metabolism, get your body working. It's good for your brain, good for your body. If it's good for my brain and my body, why not do it? All right. Crush a bottle of water. All right. Make up my bed. This has been life changing. I have made up my bed every fucking day, probably for the past 7 or 8 years, because I heard a Marine say, if you can't do the little things right, how do you expect to do the big things right? And it's a famous speech about him talking about wake up and make the bed. And if you have a fucked up day, the least you come home to a bed that is made. And then you get up and you got to do it again. But setting this routine for me, it put something in order. I don't know what it was, but mentally, it was just get out the bed, crush a bottle of water, put it, make up my bed. I'll start my coffee maker or whatever. I come back and I have a gratitude journal right here. A gratitude journal, open my gratitude journal up, and I write every fucking day, every day, a minimum of 3 things that I'm grateful for. And the hardest time I ever had writing in this book was a very long stint of like depression. And it felt long for me. It was a 6-7 month period. It was extremely fucking hard. And it even got hard to write the words gratitude or grateful in the book. But I know because it was hard, I had to. Because I said, if I stop writing what I'm grateful for, who knows what the next step is, right? So literally there's probably a 6-month stretch in there where I literally said I'm grateful for the same 3 things. I'm grateful for life, I'm grateful for breath, and I'm grateful for love. And those were the only things that I could think of that I was grateful for, because there's a lot of things that I wasn't grateful for, but I wasn't going to project that on myself. And so my morning routine, get up, crush a bottle of water, make my bed, write my gratitude journal. And at one point in time, I did this for about 5 years. And then during that same little depression, little kick I had, I stopped doing it for about 6 months. For 5 years straight, I would go take a cold shower. All right, I would go take a cold shower, come back, eat my breakfast, and then read. So like for me, it sounds like a lot, but like when I first started this routine, it was get up and drink a bottle of water. And then it was drink a bottle of water, write in the gratitude journal. Drink a bottle of water, write in the gratitude journal, read. So I'm hydrating my body, I'm getting out some positive thoughts, and I'm intaking positive information. Don't touch my phone for the first 45 minutes to hour of the day. I don't need to know what anyone else is thinking, because I need to get my thoughts right before I get on social media and consume everybody else's thoughts. That's all social media is everybody else's thoughts and opinions in this. So normally when people wake up, that alarm go off, they see they got notification. I don't have notifications for social media active on my phone. So for me to get on my social media account, as much as I'm in, every time I'm on, I got to log in. Because I don't want, hey, somebody liked a photo or this or that or that. like, and I look at my phone and it started to, I had at one point where I was getting anxiety. I've never had anxiety. And I was like, I realized that every time I got close to my phone and I saw all these messages when I had all this other stuff going on, fighting and training and instructing and building the business, it just felt like it was too much pressure. So I said, fuck it, cut the notifications off. Like, if it's important, if Mr. Putnam, you need to contact me and you have my number, you just fucking call and my phone will go off.
Yeah.
Or you send a text message and then I can see the text message. But social media, if it's something, an emergency, you're not contacting me on social media. So how important really is it?
Probably not. And
I get to it when I get to it.
I love that how you're able to like compartmentalize. I think that's really important. And I think that's very healthy, particularly when you do the amazing athletic things that you do in the ring, when you're a combat athlete in particular, because I can only imagine, like, you're a football player, right? You go and we just had the Super Bowl. You go, you play, and your team loses the Super Bowl. There's like 3 people that everyone knows on the football team. They're all like, you know, like there's a star player on offense, a star player on defense, and maybe one other guy, right?
Yeah.
But by and large, like to like a majority of people out there, by and large, they're anonymous people. We don't really know who they are. You take off your helmet, they blend right into society. Like you might look at like a guy that looks like the Incredible Hulk, like, God damn, that guy's big, but I don't know who he is. There's a level of like anonymity behind being an athlete to an extent. I'm using football as an example because they have all this equipment on that obscures their identity. They have a helmet on, they have a visor, they have big pads. They don't look like them. When you're fighting, it's completely different. You're stripped down to almost nothing. Exposed. You're exposed in like physically, but like I don't know, like yes, you're physically exposed, but it's like there's like this level of like vulnerability out there. And I'm not even talking about the physical aspect of it. Like you're putting yourself out there for the world in this day and age where we're glued to this and we all want to do this. Before I'm willing to like talk to you as a man, I'm going to tell you how I feel about you on this, right? Because it's easier. And you think about all this stuff and it's just like, not only are you going into a cage to like inflict violence on somebody in the name of sport, but you're doing it, you got all these eyes on you and there's no hiding. There's no running away from anything. Like there's no hiding. That's like a lot to like, for me to just process, just thinking about it.
Yeah.
That's a lot. Like when you're sitting there in the back room, like after a fight, I know you've never lost a fight, but I know you've cornered a lot of other people and you've seen what defeat looks like. And you've also seen the other end of it. You know, your most recent bout, the elation, like, man, I battled against a worthy adversary. I came out on top. This guy pushed me to my limit. I overcame it. Right. So there's like 2 sides of everything. And so when you sit back, like, those lows have got to be soul crushing. Those highs have got to be euphoric. And like you sit back and you're trying to process all this. It's like, wow.
I'm gonna process the lows and highs in a very, very, very short statement, right? I can't even say this without getting chills because this is something that can only be expressed through someone who has been to war and who has witnessed triumph and defeat beyond what people know, right? You said when you are there in the cage, you are exposed. What people are seeing when you step out there, I feel like is your soul. Like it's not just your body, it's your brain, it's your spirit. That's why they're like, oh my God, that guy has the heart of a champion, the spirit. Like he didn't give up. Like one of the best compliments, 2 of the best compliments I get over the years in martial arts. Number 1, people ask me, where'd you wrestle? I'm like, I didn't, right? But I guarantee you now I can wrestle with the best of them. You wrestle, let's do it, right? And it's like, number 2, after that last iKON fight, Jorge Masvidal, the fucking dog of the UFC. They're like 2 dogs in the UFC. Him and Nate Diaz, those are like the dogs. He's like, he's like, bro, you're so fucking tough. He said, you a dog. And I was like say it again. He's like, you a fucking dog. And I was like, only someone who's been in those. He's like, bro, you took a flying knee. I said, it wasn't my. I didn't say I'm gonna eat this and take it, but I got hit with it at that point in time. What do I say? Oh my God, I got hit with it. No, I was okay. Time to get my lick back. Like, and those are like some of the two of the best compliments that I've ever got as far as in the fight sense, not as a martial artist. Mm-hmm. But one of my extended coaches, Bubby Mitchell, was cornering one of our teammates, and he lost. He got knocked out, but it was bad. Like, it was like concussion. Like, he doesn't remember after he got knocked out, the whole car ride, the back, all that stuff. Obviously, you wake back up, but now he doesn't remember it. And this is what people fail to realize is when you step in that cage, you are putting your mind, body, and fucking spirit on the line, because every time you step in there, you can leave less than of a person than when you step in that cage, right? And he said, the crazy thing about this sport, this is like the one thing that stuck out to me. He says, if he would have did that to the opponent, we all be happy right now.
Yeah, right, exactly. That's crazy to think about.
And it's like, but it happened to you. So this crazy wave that you're feeling of emotion, disappointment, hurt, this, that, it's because the other wave of adoration and like excitement and praise is so high. But if you would have did it, it'd been the other way around. So there's the biggest risk that when we step in the cage, everybody thought the same thing that a lot of other people thought. Oh, Moon's gonna go in there and this dude's a karate background, he's gonna take him down and it's gonna be over. That dude was so fucking hard to hold down.
That was me. I'll admit it. That was totally
dude,
me.
His hips, dude, he had like some Shakira hips, bro. Like every time I got him down, I didn't want to like posture up to ground and pound because his fucking hip, I could feel him waiting for me to move to do anything. So then I got into a, like, I need to control this guy, but I can't just control him because then it's going to be stalling. And it's not that I didn't want to stand up. It's, I had an opportunity and I have a higher opportunity to finish the guy on the ground because of my knowledge. So why not take it there? And then it got to the point where he was on the ground. I was like, I'm standing up. I'm like, fuck it. We about to do it. Like,
I have nothing but positive things to say about that young man. I will certainly ask you about it, but I want to shift gears a little bit. And I kind of want to like set the table, because for people that are just now tuning in, the people that are just like seeing you for the first time, they only know you as the fighter that happened to be on the Masvidal card, but you've been at this game for a long time. And you have experienced a lot of, I'll say downs. I'll say the word downs because not everything is reflecting on the record, right? Like you only see all the successes, but this is a tough game. And I've talked to a few people that have done very well. They've never lost a fight, just like you, but they walk away from it because they're like, dude, this game is just like psychologically, all the things it takes away from me. Like, I can't fucking do this anymore. I need a break. I need to go away. And people burn out. For you, when I was talking to you, you had just got done beating a very tough man, Mike Wilson, at NFC 131.
Yep.
And we were getting ready to take on another fight. Yep. I remember your opponent. I'm not going to say his name. I'm not that kind of guy. Yeah. But I remember your opponent. You had a guy lined up, and we talked a little bit about it. You talked about like, yeah, I'm excited to go out there. I'm excited to go out and compete. I'm going to take him seriously. He didn't have the best record, but you didn't care. You're like, no, I'm ready. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go out there and compete. For people who don't know, I'd like you to fill in the gaps. I'd like you, this is your story. I think you should be the person to tell it. For people who don't know about what I'm referencing, can you fill in the gaps?
Yes. All right. So, in the past 2 years, not including 2022, from 2020 all the way into 2021, I've had 2 fights, one in 2020 and one in 2021. In between that time, in 2022, I've been scheduled to fight about 15 or 16 times. Okay. I don't have a part-time job. I instruct, right? That's a part of what I do as a martial artist. But if you're in the martial arts industry, you know, instructing is not like, it's not the end all be all when you have a mortgage and a house, and unless you own a gym, and even owning a gym is hard. All right. So to make a long story short, I had a lot of fights that got canceled. But the issue with the canceled fights was 90% of them were the day of, 2 days before, or 3 days before, meaning I had done all the work, and on multiple occasions, I showed up, cut 20 pounds of weight because I did my job correctly, cut the weight, and my opponents either missed weight by so much that legally we're not allowed to fight, meaning they were 2 or 3 weight classes up, and you cannot fight now because there are weight gaps for a reason. I'm weighing at 135. If you weigh in at 150, the next day of a fight, when I rehydrate back to 150, you could be 175. We're not in the same weight class. Like, so it's the risk factor of somebody hurting their body or hurting somebody else to end their career is ridiculous. So people can do it as cheating. Did I think these guys were trying to cheat? No. Do I think they lacked discipline and didn't want to do the hard work it took to get down to the weight? Yes, because all of them previously fought that weight or fought close to it. So long story short is, after the Mike Wilson fight, I had a fight lined up. Me and this gentleman was supposed to fight in July. I tore my UCL. If people don't know, that's like the ACL for your elbow. And I tore it in training literally 11 days before the fight. So I had to pull out for a fight for once. But they said, I got an MRI. They said, I don't need Tommy John surgery. I just need about 8 to 12 weeks. So we rescheduled the July 24th fight. I don't want to just give a half-ass story. I'm like, these guys are always pulling out. I pulled out legit because my orthopedist was like, hey, if you keep training like this, you're going to be out for 18 months. But if you just rehab it, you'll be back. So what I do, I trained with one arm. There's literally a ton of video on my phone of me sparring with only my left hand, me doing like grappling drills, one hand. Like, there's always a way. All right. You make a way as a martial artist. Okay. As you're a fighter, you'll find a way. So this guy, we had concerns that he couldn't make the weight. And the concerns were absolutely correct, but he didn't just have a 12-week camp. He had another 12 weeks. So he had 24 weeks. And over that period of time, still didn't like clean up his nutrition or diet or whatever. I don't care what the excuse was. You don't sign on a dotted line if you can't do the job. I show up to weigh-ins. We had to renegotiate 15 pounds above where I was fighting, which is fucking retarded. Like, there's no benefit for me at this point for a bantamweight to be fighting at lightweight. There's no benefit. And I take all the risk of like, oh my God, my record's on the line. My ability to get a shot at UFC or Contender Series is on the line. When this guy's not going to any of those places, but he has 15 professional fights, and there's almost no risk. If he takes an L, who cares? He was like 7-8. And it's like, it's not that he's bad. He actually fought really good guys. So I was more excited. Like, I get to test myself against a guy who's fought some of the top guys. He's not going to be scared to fight, and it's going to be a fight. Now I can show how skilled I am if I put him away. And then what does he do? He doesn't show up to the weigh-ins. We renegotiated 15 pounds heavier, and he still didn't show up. So it was like, you know, I really don't like talking about it because it's like beating a dead horse, and like we're way beyond it. Yeah. But like after that, I was in an extremely low place, because what people don't know is the house that I'm currently staying in, I didn't live here. I lived in an apartment, and we were scheduled to move out of the apartment and move into the house. And the money that I was supposed to make from that fight was going to be money for me to move into this house. I had no money in my bank account. Okay. So this is the side that people don't know. I have to put a deposit down and put rent down to move into a house that now I don't even have the fucking money for. So I'm like, what am I do? I literally went to Cole Miller, and he's an OG of the game. Like, he's been here before. And I was like, man, I got to go get a job. Like, besides teaching martial arts. And I originally came here, we had a sit down. He said, what do you want? I said, I want to be one of the best in the fucking world, which means prioritize your priorities. He said, so what's your priority? I said, training. He said, how are you going to make a living? I said, I have to get a job. If there's a spot for an instructor, I would like to do that to supplement my pay until I get fights, and then I can work my way up and make more money in fights, doing private training, this, that, and the third. He said, okay, I'll give you a job as an instructor. You can help out at the gym. he opened up a spot for me there. So I'm forever grateful. And I still have bills and stuff that like that income wasn't enough. And I wasn't well known enough to have like private trainings at the gym. So people didn't know me that well. So I was relying on this money. And for every canceled fight, I'll go ahead and tell y'all a number. For every canceled local fight, I'm losing close to 10 grand. So if I fought three times in Georgia on a local show, y'all want to know numbers? Y'all want to know real shit? I'm losing close to 10 grand every time. So for me, somebody say, oh my God, I made like 6 or 7 grand the Mike Wilson fight, right? I think it was like 7 grand. And that money had to last me from April essentially till this next fight. So you telling me I fucking lasted 8 months on $7,000. You do the math.
Yeah.
Not including taxes and expenses and this and that and the third, because that's what the martial arts, teaching as a martial artist, like I'm getting supplemented my income and stuff. And so I'm giving y'all like some behind the scenes, like you think Moon just goes out there and like is waxing these guys and got this pretty record. And then I'm like, not to mention I train with the best and I lose all the fucking time. That's why like I just have to win that one night. We talk about this all the time in my thing. I get my ass beat all fucking training camp by Quentin Culpepper, Cole Miller, Lathan Lawson, Jesse Wallace, Chase Boutwell, Lindsey Jones, like, Homer Mangrove. Like, we just go down the list. Like, it's like Middle Georgia MMA is a fucking Shark Tank. And we train hard. We train often. No one leaves the gym. We're in the gym Monday through Sunday, literally. And then we're training other people. We're doing this. And then to like look forward to these fights, put this mental stress on you about when I'm training for a fight. I'm not training other people as much. So I'm not making money with privates and this, that, and the third, because I got to get ready for a fight. And then to get to a fight and a guy just doesn't show up and then you lose all this money because now I'm counting money I don't even have. That shit sent me into like a very, very, very bad place. And then it started to affect my training. And then training, which is something I love, started to feel like a burden because I enjoy training. But this is what I tell people. When I don't have a fight, I love training. When I'm training for a fight, I don't love training because mentally I have to go to another place. Yeah. I'm like, hey, me and you, Mr. Putnam, we're about to go. I got to win this. This isn't about me. Yes, it's about me getting better, but I'm in a different mindset. Go a little harder, a little bit grungier.
Is it fair to say it's a little more primal?
No, it's not fair to say a little more primal. It is primal because at the end of the day, when I fight, it's for very different reasons. It ain't for money. It ain't for fame. It ain't for women. It ain't for clout. It ain't for this. It's for my soul. And like when I say that, it feeds me and it gives me a greater purpose. And I even know like what I'm going to do after fighting because most fighters go through what we call post-fight depression, right? You have this massive high and you're known as a fighter. And then when you leave the game, you have no identity because you were known as a fighter. These are things that life has taught me that I've seen through others and stuff that I already know what my next venture is, but it's not looking while fighting, It's something that's connected to it where at my peak, at my best, I'm going to ride that out. I have a time and date and amount of years that I'm going to do it. And then I'm going to, when I move on to the next thing, because like I have life experience. So I know that there's a storm coming. People's issue is they think when they get through a hard time, that hard time shouldn't come anymore. Once you become wise to it, you know that hard and good times come and go. So in my good times, I'm preparing for it to be a hard time. And then when it's hard time, I know that if I keep getting through it, that there's a good time yet ahead. And Eric Thomas, one of my favorite motivational speakers, he says, you're either in a storm, going to a storm. He says, you just left the storm, you're in a storm, or there's a storm on its way. But at no point in time in life are there no storms.
That's that's I'm so glad that you kind of like talked about your journey, because one of the things that I think is so important, your record is misleading. People look at you and they're like, okay, 3-0. This guy's a 23-year-old kid. He's just showing up at the game. He's probably very talented, not a lot of experience. That is the furthest thing from the truth for you. You've been in this game for a long time. You're 30 years old. So I'm comfortable in calling you an old guy compared to some of these other people that have a comparable record to you. Like you fought a man who's 21 years old. And we'll get to that in a second, but it's like your record is misleading. You have a lot more experience than what your professional record shows. And The other thing that's interesting.
Think about this. I had about 15 fights over 2+ years canceled. If I would have got 2/3 or say 2/3 of the fights, say I would have got 10 of the fights. If I would have had, let's say I was just killing it, 13-0, or like a 9-4, or like a 10-3 type record, then the age wouldn't matter, right?
Mm-hmm.
You'd be like, oh shit, this guy knows what he's doing. He's probably 1 or 2 fights away. Guess what? I don't only train when I have a fight. Just because I didn't have a fight don't mean I left the gym.
Right.
My 9 to 5, literally, that's training. It's what I do. So right. Like, and that's what I said. I said, where it's more misleading at, the next person I fight, I kept saying this, the next person I fight, I don't feel bad for you because we both signed a contract. But like my team kept saying, it's gonna be bad because if they pair you up with another guy who's 3-0, who's taken 3 or 4 amateur fights, like, because they're thinking you guys are the same, you guys aren't the same. Like, you have a foundational skill set. You're not just a specialist. It's different. So it's like 30 might seem old. I keep telling everybody, y'all say 30 is old. I'm not even hitting my fucking prime yet. I'm getting better every single day. And it's starting up here because I'm seeing life differently. I'm knowing how to preserve my body when I can go hard because I've been learning about fitness. I'm not a fitness guy who does MMA. I'm an MMA guy with a fitness specialist. It's a difference. All right. I've included all these other parts to my game. And I'm like, when people say, man, 30's old, I'm like, you don't know shit. All right. Wait. Like, when I'll stop fighting, prior to 40, but I haven't even reached my peak. And I'm always scratching the surface of new limits. And that's like the whole thing with Lunar Unlimited, right? All right. Test your limit, know your limit, push your limit, break your limit. So every time I do something, I'm like, oh man, I love that. I'm seeing this is where my stopping point is because I know what I got to do. Now I know what I have to do to break the limit. And that's half the point of it. It's like, sometimes we approach these limits and we don't know how to break it. But now I got a team of a 20-time UFC vet, and my manager has fought for the Contender Series twice and has 30 total fights. And my main training partner is also a coach, so he knows what it's like to be in the trenches. So it's like, I'm not doing this alone. I'm not doing this alone. But it's just exciting because where everybody else think that there's a limit, people don't run my life. I do. So I love when people like say, oh, you're this or you're this or you're that or Moon's this. I'm like, beautiful. That's what you think of me. Right. But like when I break that limit, you're like, oh my God, we didn't even know Moon could do that. I'm like, but I knew I could do that.
I am so happy that you had the opportunity. You don't even know, like when you announced that you were going to be on this iKON card, like I was just like, I had an extra pop to my step because I know how hard you've been working. I know what you have. I don't like no, but like I know, like, because I've been in situations like that where you're working so hard for something, you're putting everything you got into something, and then for whatever reason, for factors outside of your control, all the stars aren't aligned, whatever the case may be, life has a way of just saying, not today, dude. It ain't happening today. And it sucks. But there's only one way. The only way out is forward. And you finally, after all this time grinding, you get an opportunity, you get a call. Can you tell me, like, before you found out, well, it all happened very, very fast. Tell me, like, how the hell did this happen? Number one, like, were you anticipating getting a call from these guys? Like, how did this fight happen?
Nope. All right. So number one, you said something that my coach always said. Cole always says, in is the way out. Okay. You got to be fucking all in. Right. So a lot of times when we get like, there's some kind of danger or something, we want to pull back. Like in a fight, people want to put their hands out away from their face. It's like, this is the worst thing you can do. Like, maybe be better to shell up because the danger will go past. Not for every opportunity. I'm just being in a generalized thing, right? Somebody gets me in an armbar, pulling out breaks my arm, but going forward saves me. Like, in is the way out a lot of the times, okay? And this is what I'm saying, is having a team. I didn't really know what management did because I'm a business owner and I am the fighter, and I was managing myself early in my late in my amateur career going into pro. And Jesse James Wallace, who's my manager, he literally like hounded me for a year. all these other management companies, hey man, we work with so-and-so. I shut them all down. I was like, nah, I'm gonna take care of this in the early part of my career. Jesse James Wallace for first round management, my guy, one of my training partners, as well as he's here at Miller Martial Arts and Fitness, so I get to see him every day. He asked me for like almost a year, hey man, I know you plan on going pro, I want to be a manager. I was like, nah. He approached me again. Nobody else approached me again. So nobody else got the luxury of me even thinking about them again. Then he asked me again. Then he asked me again. And then he asked me the right question. All right, what do I got to do to be your manager? What are you looking for? And I was like, cool. I'm looking for a relationship. Somebody's going to be invested in me as much as I'm invested in me. I want to go to the big show. And I need to know that it's just more than you can find me local promotions, because I can find my own local promotion fights, but I'm trying to get, how can I get there? My plan is a 3 to 5 year plan. He said, I can do it in 1 to 3. And I was like, say less.
Yeah.
At 2-0, this is what the promoters see. This guy's 30. He only fought once a year. Why isn't he active? They don't know everything else. But here's my manager. He's after my pro debut, LFA and Contender Series, they have a roster. They're like, hey, we have these guys. My manager has a list of guys called short notice guys. If anything happens, somebody get injured, they need a replacement, he sends that list to the promotion before the promotion, like right after they book. So they already have a list of like people who you need to go to. I'm 1-0. He sends them a list with a star next to my name. Shout out to my man, Jesse. And they're like, he says, I think it's an LFA or something like that. And they're like, who's Amun Cosme? Why do you put a star next to his name? He's 1-0. They're like, he's like, this is your next UFC bantamweight champion. And in my head, I can hear them say like, okay. So for me, that just got me like as if I needed more weight on my shoulders. I was like, give it to me. It's just like, I made a mountain out of mold, right? So he's like, I'm telling you, this is your guy. They're like, hey, get him 3 or 4 more fights, and then we'll maybe give him a shot on LFA or Contender Series or UFC Fight Pass, something. So fast forward, all these fights canceled. Finally get the one with Mike Wilson. 2-0, still not enough, right? But at 2-0, he gets the call. We're setting up the February 26th fight, which was yesterday, fighting for B2, which is also a good promotion. Fight Pass, it's not as good as Fight Pass, but it's really good up-and-coming promotion. Really good competition. I'm literally on the phone talking with Chase Boutwell. He's scheduled for the 26th. I'm like, hey, they're getting me an opponent for the 26th. This is January 3rd. They're giving me an opponent for 26th. Hey, this is us all the time. How can we get some extra training in? It's like, well, we already do this on Friday. Let's meet up during the downtime before we have Muay Thai class to get some MMA training. Then we can go Muay Thai in this bar. All right, I'm on the phone, hang up. I get a text message from my manager. Hey, can you take a short notice fight for Game Bread iKON on UFC Fight Pass? Yes. Like, yes. I'm like, yes. Like, yes. Like what? I'm like, short notice? How short notice? He's like, the 18th. I was like, February 18th? This is no. What's the wait? Like, because you got to get your job done first. And I've explained it on one of my previous interviews and podcasts and stuff. I had a very serious neck injury that I acquired training with one of the other fighters for his fight in November. So I wasn't doing any sparring or any rolling for almost 2 months. So my weight was a little bit higher because I couldn't go hard. I could barely turn my neck like this. I had to go see the chiropractor. I had to go get massages. I had to do all this shit. So like, I'm still training, but like you need your neck for everything in grappling and even striking. And like, I can't get hit in the head if my neck isn't right. And it really started to put me in a bad place again. And I was like, oh man, I can't go like all these fights. And then now I got an injury. I wasn't cleared 100%. But I told them yes. I was like, yep, we'll do it. Literally, I was driving on the way to the gym, got on the scale. My weight was about 4 or 5 pounds higher than what I'm normally at, but it's 4 or 5 pounds higher, and my body hasn't been exerting the way I normally am because no sparring and shit. So, boom, I get on a scale, says 163. I'm like, I tell my manager, because he's at the gym, we work at the same place. It's like, hey, we can do 140. I said, I can make 35, but it'd be dangerous, like for me, health-wise. I can do 140. So that's 23 pounds in It's 18 days. So I was like, if we could do it 140, I'm down. I want to do it. Like, what I got to do to do it? Where do we got to go?
Mm-hmm.
He said, they got Alexander Schenk wasn't the original opponent. It was another guy. He was the backup opponent, but the other guy, something happened, couldn't do it. So Alexander Schenk was like the filler. So I was like, hey, I can do it. Boom, boom. But this is what's having the team and the management is like doing on the back end when I'm training, doing what I should be doing. They're working on their end. So shout out to Jesse James Wallace, because at 2-0, he got me on a UFC Fight Pass card. And now I'm like, I'm not gonna say there's not any going back, but now they want me back. Why would I fight on a local show when where I'm trying to go is right in front of me? And only if they were like, hey, we want you to have 1 or 2 more standout performances and you go fight wherever, then I'd be like, cool, I just hit a local promoter. Now the local promoter want me even more because I was just on a UFC Fight Pass. So like, it only helped my brand. So when literally January 2nd, before I got that call, I spoke with my best friend. He's my roommate. He's also my teammate. I was like, man, I said, man, I don't know. I got a feeling. I'm not big on like New Year's resolutions, but I said, I got a feeling things this year are going to click. We're not going to do this 1 or 2 fights. I said, we're going to do about 4 or 5 fights. And I said, if not by December, January 2023, we're going to be a UFC or Bellator. And he was like, that's what I want to fucking hear. The next day, we get the Fight Pass call. And I was like, bro, I said, I've not been waiting for an opportunity. I've been working for one. It's a difference. I haven't been back here saying, man, these opportunities aren't coming. These guys are. That's why when you stay vigilant and you stay disciplined, and I just trained, and I trained, and I trained, and I trained. 6 months went by, no check for no fight. 7 months went by, no check for no fight. 8 months went by, more canceled fights. 9 months went by, and I said it on my. I went live on IG. I think 4 days before the fight, I was getting ready for my weight cut, looking all grungy. I kind of like to feel like that though, because I get the whole pretty boy shit all the time. So I like to just look like a wolf sometimes. And like, I was like, my best friend Lathan Lawson is also like my main corner man. Always reminds me, you didn't miss out on the opportunity. Those guys missed out on the opportunity to fight Moon Cosme, and you carry yourself like that, because that's a story that they could have told their kids or grandkids. Oh, I fought that guy one day. That's not us. We know where we're going. And it sounds bad, but welcome to the fight world. Like,
hey man, like you have to be able to like get into like that mode. You get the call, bam, now you're the dog that finally got the back of the car. You've been running after it. And it's kind of interesting because I always tell people, for the longest time, you put in all this work. You're like that dog chasing the car. Mm-hmm. What are you going to do once you get it? Because now you're there. It's like, well, shit, now I didn't think you'd say yes. Now I'm fucking here and I got to do the work. So you show up, you make the weight. Tell me about like what that was like. Like, how were you like upstairs? Like, did you like feel like the buzz? Because this is the very first card that they're getting ready to put out there. It's going to be on Fight Pass. Or was it like, and behind the scenes, was it like any other fight that you've been to, or did everything just seem bigger?
All right, I'm gonna use the dog car analogy, and this is what happened. Because I feel like my favorite animals are eagles and wolves, and for me, it's the pursuit that a wolf has. A wolf is not the fastest. A wolf doesn't have these crazy claws. All they have is their bite, and if you destroy their teeth, they're pretty much gonna die, right? So they have to attack. And they have to be conscious of that. But they will chase down an animal until it physically can't run any further. They will just endure. And I feel like I was chasing this car, right? And no matter how tired I got, I didn't realize that the running was making me stronger. Mm-hmm. And I'm just running. And I'm like, I just can't stop running. And then that running made me really strong. And I didn't catch the car. I'm running so fast. The fucking car stopped, and this is the UFC door. I didn't knock on it. Boom! I'm like, I'm in the building, baby. That's literally what I told my best friend. We got down there. I said, yo, they fucked up. Let me show you a note that I wrote myself. Okay. This is I like to show things because I want people to understand that the person that they see on social media is not a gimmick. It's not a front. I'm not like some foo-foo putting on a motivational act so I can get motivational clout. Somebody told me in class the other day, oh my God, you're not a motivational speaker, because I was like being rough. And I said, who said I was? You? And then they were like, oh, excuse me. I was like, yeah, don't call it. If you labeled me as something because you thought that's what I was and I disappointed you, good for you. Because
that's on you.
I never thought that's what I was, right? So this right here, I know it's backwards, but it says thoughts and perspective. And when I got back, I don't know if you see it.
Oh,
Thoughts
there
and
we go.
perspective.
Yep.
Thoughts and perspective. All right. And this is what it says. This is what I wrote when I got back here. It said, remember this feeling. The game has fucked up and let me taste one drop of greatness. And now this hunger and fire are more unsatiable than ever. I'm going to show you how great I am, Muhammad Ali. And the day I got back, stitches, everything, I felt great. I just felt sore, like I had a hard sparring session, which it was not a hard sparring session. It was a fucking fight.
Yes.
But my heart, we fought late as fuck. I was in the airport for 6 hours. 4 hours the next day because the flight got delayed. We travel. You know how it is when you travel and now you had a fight and this, trying to decompress. I got here back at my house like 1 a.m. the next night just from traveling and moving. I had to drive from the airport in Atlanta. I got back Sunday morning. I was ready to train. No one's at the gym Sunday morning. I'm like, I got stitches. I can't do anything. So I went to the gym. I started jumping rope. I started running miles. And I'm like, I put my hoodie on because when I put my hoodie on, I get in my head and I just ignore everything. I have my earphones on. So like people see me, like I could just like see right through them. They don't exist. And like, I was like, they're really fucked up because I didn't ask for permission to get to this door. I broke this bitch down. And regardless of if they want me here or not, got to deal with me. And so when I got there, what made it even better is everything that I thought it was, because normally we think something will be a certain way and we get let down. It was better. I didn't have to do anything. I wish Jorge Masvidal was my boss for the next year, 2 years, or whatever to get to the UFC. It's going to be a year because I'm going to be in the UFC or Bellator very soon. All right. But there was because he was a fighter and the promotion with Dean Tool and everybody at iKON that helped out, I didn't have to worry about anything but fighting. I showed up. They helped with media. They provided hand wraps. They provided shuttles from the airport, from the hotel. They were very in detail with asking us very in-depth questions about our story. So if there was downtime I know how media works. So if there's downtime during the fight, they have stuff to say. They were just so thorough about everything. Like we got gear, we got bags. I signed a poster, bro. Like that's my autograph down there. And I'm like, I didn't know I was coming here to sign autographs, but like I'll do it. Like, I had interviews. When we got to the venue, like after we weighed in, they had water and Pedialyte and fruit already there for the fighters. I was like, this is nuts. Like I was fighting on the local shows and I'm like, I'm bringing coolers with me. They're like the commission's late. I'm over here counting ticket money with the promoter. Like it was just like, is my opponent gonna show up? Like
right.
What's good? Like, and now I just got there, and every time I was like, oh, someone's like, oh yeah, you have assigned this, and I'm like, what? I had a whole corner area that had 3 chairs, me, my 2 cornermen. It had a bag. Say, this is stuff that I keep around my room to remind me. It's like, hey, I'm on Cosme, UFC Fight Pass on Jorge Masvidal. I have my first contract. I have it written there. It just reminds me when I wake up every day, I see that. So like, it's reaffirming that everything that I thought is not crazy. Because at that down period, if I feel down again, this is just reconfirmation. Like, hey, you entered the building. Now they know your name. And now you made a statement and now it's time to go from there. So the experience on the other side, it was more than just any other fight. I'm like, you mean I could just show up, make weight, and then fight? Like, yeah, like who'd have thought that doing your job was just doing your job? Because it's never just doing your job. But that's where other fighters and me, I make the difference. Where other fighters say, hey, I'm going to show up, make weight, and fight. I said, I'm going to show up, I'm going to show out. They're going to remember me besides the fight. So I have my little gift cards that I always do, these little postcards. And I start dropping them at every table, and I start dropping them on the hotels. I'm like, because people came to see the Masvidal show, yes, but guess who's fighting on this Masvidal show? Moon Cosme. And if you don't know, when you put that ass in the seat, I'm like, what's this postcard? Who is this guy? Oh, don't worry about it. My Facebook is on there. My Instagram is on there. My website's on there. There's 3 belts on there. You're like, is there a champion fighting on this? What the fuck? Who is this guy? I need to know. And that's all I need you to know.
I tell you what, watching that fight, I had to pop a Xanax for that one. I had a lot of nerves going up for that one. But, you know, my other friend was on that card, Luis Hernandez, who's a freaking great guy.
We've been chatting. We're trying to link up. We might be on. We'll talk about that.
We'll talk about it when I'm not recording. But yeah, like, he's a great guy. He's been doing the work too. But like, you guys fought like back to back. And for me, like, it's different. Like when you watch somebody fight that you admire, it's one thing. For me anyway, it's weird. There's like a little bit of a detachment there. So for example, I could watch who's a guy that I like that I've never met. Derek Lewis, for example. I like Derek Lewis. It's like, oh, okay, he's an entertaining guy, but like, I'm just there to watch a fight. I'm just a fan. Like, I don't know anything about Derek Lewis other than what I see on TV. You know, he lost against Tai Tuivasa, who I also like, but there was no emotion there for me. I was like, oh yeah, it was a good fight, and I just brought on to the next one. Yeah. When friends of yours fight, it's very fucking different. like it is very, very different. And I can't really describe it. Just start your own MMA podcast, get fighters on from all over the world, and then come talk to me, and then you'll understand. But like, you get emotionally invested in somebody's journey, and you want to support that journey because you know how hard they're trying to make this happen. And my platform was all about having the 99% of fighters out there that are busting their asses off, that aren't getting the recognition that they rightly deserve. And that's what I'm all about. And for all this shit to finally happen, knowing all that backstory that you just told everybody, I was like, this is his shot. This is what he needs right now. He deserves it. And, you know, I was just like, he's going to fucking starch this kid. Of course, that didn't happen. We'll talk about that for a minute. But like, I was tensed up, man. Like I had to pop a Xanax. I had to just chill the fuck out. Like, my wife usually asks me, do you know anybody on this card? And like, depending on what I say, because sometimes she'll kick me out. She'll be like, no, you're gonna watch that shit downstairs in the basement. Like, if you know somebody. And so anyway, all kidding aside, we get in here. I'm ratcheted up, but I see you. You're like calm. You're like collected, and like I knew right away. I'm like, okay, like, here we go. Like, it's showtime. We're going. Like, he knows he's gonna fight some kid. They didn't bring in some kid just to lose for you. Like, this kid is good. I don't know who this kid is, but I know he's good if they called him.
He was on a 6-fight win streak or something like that, or 5-fight win streak or something like that.
I knew he was bad. Like, I was like, I know this is a bad man. I know they're bringing in this bad man. So I'm going to look beyond the baby face. They called him for a reason. And holy shit, the fight starts and I get scared, man. I'm like, oh, Jesus. You weren't supposed to be good. Like, what happened? Like, this kid, this is a war, man. Like, and then of course you get the clash of heads or whatever the hell happened. And then you're bleeding all over the place.
It's actually healing pretty well. I don't know if you can see it right there.
I can. Oh yeah, I can see it
really well.
I mean, that was. I was concerned that we got blood in the eyes. I didn't know how well you could see. I was like,
I couldn't see for like a solid minute and a half. I'm like, a lot. Like, it was like,
and then I was worried. It's like, great. Now I was like, if we don't get a finish here, they're gonna look at that eye. Like, they might not like what they see.
My cut, man, hooked me up, bro. That shit stopped bleeding after the first round. It didn't bleed anymore.
Wow,
it stopped bleeding. He took care of business,
dude. Just for me, like, you're the one that has to fight the fight, but I have to watch that shit. And I'll say my job's harder than yours because, dude, I'm telling you, you corner people, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Like, it's totally different because I have no control over what happens. Like, I'm just a guy watching beautiful violence unfold in front of me.
it's out of your control. So like at that point in time, you're just like, no matter what happens, there's nothing that you could do. There's nothing you can do to affect the outcome. And that's the hard part about watching when it's your friend or someone you support. You're like, oh my God, he got hit, because you know that that doesn't feel good and you almost want to feel good too.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And, you know, and then I say a bunch of unpleasant things too when things are going good. Like, you know, I like, fuck this kid up. Like, I'm sure he's a nice kid. Yeah. Like I say all kinds of crazy shit. And we fight this epic fight. And if you have not seen the fight, go on Fight Pass. I watched it last night again, just because I wanted it fresh for this conversation. And I looked at it. Jesus Christ, Moon, that kid is tough, man. Like if he's watching this, Alexander, I would just say, like, dude, the fact that, like, I don't think Alexander knows who we fight quite yet, but he will. Like, I think he'll appreciate the fight a lot. It's gonna age really well for him. It really will.
Hey man, we had a little talk afterwards. He's like, man, I see why you're undefeated. That's all really said in the cage. And I was like, I told him, I said, man, you're the toughest fight I've ever had. And I appreciate that. So we're at three main things that we're taking away. I'm gonna take away. I want to give credit. I don't ever want to down my opponent to make myself look good. That's not what I'm do. All right. But I want to do just 3 factors that I got away from that fight. Okay. Number 1, it felt good to fight another warrior because I was tested and I was pushed. Would it have been good if I went out and finished that choke a little bit earlier in the round? Would it have looked good? Yes. It was better that I didn't, because Masvidal and everybody said they found out things about me that the world has been asking, the MMA world, right? Can Moon take a hit? How does he look going against another really tough opponent who's going to put him in danger? Will he respond to adversity? I got cut in the first 20 seconds, leaking out of my eye. I can't see out my left eye. And then I hear his corner go, you got him. It's over now. He's bleeding. And I'm like, 20 seconds? It's over? Like, I was like, damn, they counted me out first 20 seconds of the fight, right? But I'm like, whatever. I can't let that, like, oh, man, I'm bleeding. I'm this, I'm that. So it's like, hey, can he fight when there's adversity? He's down. Can he get on top? That kid fucking hit me with a lat drop. I'm like, this Karate Kid. I'm expecting this dude. He hits me with a fucking lateral. And I'm just like, damn, all my grappling homies about to be roasting me, dog. Like, and gets up, drops an elbow, but I'm like, I know what to do from here. Get the fuck back up, and now put him on the ground, right? So it's like Pearl and TJ. Shout out to Pearl Gonzalez and TJ DeSantis, because they were like, they really gave Alexander, Schenk, and me like a lot of praise. They're like, hey man, it's a 1-0 guy and 2-0 guy fighting, and we've seen them grapple, wrestle, strike, cage wrestle, elbows, like submission. Like, we've seen every aspect of what an MMA fight is, versus somebody just laying on somebody, like the grappler holding him down and just doing enough to win the fight, or the striker just point touching and staying away because no, it was a fight and it was a war. And that was the best thing that could have happened for my career, because 3 takeaways, remember, right? I enjoy fighting. I enjoy the warrior, the war aspect, the person you have to become to give your best. I learned so much from a coaching aspect, because this is the first time we were on a big stage and he's reading out basically my playbook. And he's like, bro, you were fucking executing. But there were some things I said that you didn't execute. So we know we can go back. We're trying to have it like that Khabib, Makachev, like, you know, whatever I say, you just do, because I can see it, right? So we learned that. Okay, I don't want to be known as a tough guy. I can take a lot of damage. I want style points too. I want to go out there, fuck somebody up, and not have stitches, so I can do it again in 4 or 5 weeks. Okay. So the last thing is, I'm not saying this to discredit anything. This is all shout outs to him. Alexander's not a bantamweight, and I'm not a featherweight. Okay. Alexander missed weight by 4.5 pounds, or like 4.9 pounds or 4.6 pounds or something like that. So where I cut the weight down to 140, his body couldn't go any further. This is not a knock on him. He was literally out there fucking running in sweats. trying to sweat. He came back, was drenched, only lost like 0.3 of a pound or something like that. It was like 4.9 or 4.6. Like he was like, I could tell as a young man, as a 21-year-old, it fucking weighed on him the day of weigh-ins. The day of the fight, it was like nothing. If you look at that fight, we are not in the same weight class. That motherfucker is a lot thicker than I am. And it's just not like why I didn't win fight. This is not that. This motherfucker is skilled, and I think he's going to be a problem at 145, especially if he continues to train. That dude is fucking the world ahead of him. 21, right? But I just think my experience on longevity of training allowed me to overcome certain things in the fight. With that being said, I'm not fighting. I'm not a fucking featherweight. I'm not fighting featherweights. Don't book me at featherweight. If it's a last minute call and something, I gotta fight at 45. But like, I'm a 35, and that's that. And I'm gonna stay at my weight class and fight because I can get to the weight safely and healthily with the right amount of time. If it's last minute, I'll do catch weight at 40 if I have to do 45. But I don't plan on going up to fight other featherweights because when they come in on weigh-in day, they're 165 to 175. When I come in on weigh-in day, I'm 150 to 154. So like I weigh 158 right now. By the time I get to the my next fight in 3 or 4 weeks, I'll be 150. I normally drop about 1.5 pounds, 2 pounds a week. And then when I get to weight cut, I'm in the 140s. So I'm not rehydrating back to 165. I'm rehydrating to 150, 152.
I was so happy. The fight happens. It's a freaking war. There was no doubt. There was no doubt in my mind. Like, even though like we always talk about judges and just you never know what's going to happen when it goes to a decision. I knew, like, I was just like, that was a good fight, respect, but there's not going to be any surprises. You win the fight, and then you leave, and like obviously there was that moment you talked to somebody, I assume it was one of your coaches. They filmed like your interaction with Jorge. So like kind of what do we do from there? I know you already kind of like hit on some of the things that he told you, which was, hey, good job, man. Like you're a dog, you're a freaking fighter, all this other good stuff. Like, what is it that you want people, like what is next for you now after this? Like you've already, I don't think it's a secret. I think it's safe to say you are going to be going back to iKON. Do you have any sort of, okay, iKON 2, I don't know when that is.
So that's the plan was to fight on iKON 2. Like they have one that's going on in Miami, March 19th. I'm healed. I'm ready to go. I'll just go ahead and spill the beans. We're in search for an opponent, but there's multiple shows going on in Miami at that weekend. So I'm trying to get booked. My management, like I said, this is stuff that I don't have to deal with anymore. My management's dealing with it, but I'm like the little kid that they gave way too much candy to. And I'm like, hey, you got more candy? You got more candy? You got more candy? So I'm like, I see my manager every fucking day. We train together, and then like we'll leave, and I'm like, yo, any word? He's like, bro, if I got word, I would talk to you. I said, all right. And then the other day I get off of training Friday night after sparring. I'm like, I got 3 messages from my manager. I'm like, oh, what is this? What's this? Like, so it's good news. They're looking to book me. There are 2 shows, one on the 18th, one on March 18th, and one on March 19th. And my manager knows the details. I don't give a fuck what show it's on. If it's with iKON or one of Game Bread's affiliate promotions, like I don't care. I was just having problems finding local fights. So for the fact that they want to bring me down there for another fight, I would love for it to be on UFC Fight Pass, iKON. But if it's like an iKON affiliate and they want, I don't care. Bring me back down. Let me fight. I'm healthy. I train all the time. I've been training. Now I want to fight all the damn time.
Well, you deserve it, and you deserve to go into a big fight like that. I know there, like for you, there really is no such thing as like fight camps, really. You may like turn it up a little bit, but I think that's kind of like a misnomer for you, like a fight camp. This is what you do. Like this is what you do full time. I want you to like go in there on known with enough notice, so when you do go back, we can have a 35-pound fight. And I like the idea of going back to iKON because there's a sense of familiarity there. They already, You already left a really good impression. I want to see an iKON. I want to see a Cosme main event. That is what I want to see.
Go.
That is what I want to see.
You literally pulled out my head. Boy, at main event. And if you give me enough head time, enough lead time, because I am a businessman, trust and believe. You might not think I can't sell tickets in Florida. I can sell tickets in Florida.
I think you could sell tickets on the North Pole, man. I'm not worried about it. Like, I want you to have an opportunity. I want you to be able to headline a big show like this. And this is like one step closer to that. iKON 2, I think, is one step closer to that. I want to see you fight in this promotion for the majority of 22, unless something crazy happens and they're like, yo, we need a 35er in Bellator. Yo, we need a 35er in, for Contender Series or whatever the case may be. With unless somebody like that calls, unless one of the big three call, I want you to stay where you're at. I think you deserve to stay. You've proved that you have the talent. You proved that a lot of people want to see you fight. And this is an opportunity, and people just don't know yet. People still don't know, but they're about to find out. We're going to get another Amun Cosme fight added to the Fight Pass library. I can't wait, man. Moon, as always, I love having you on, and we got to do this more often. We definitely will after you win your next iKON fight. I want to give you the opportunity. I know you got a lot of people that make all of these things happen. You've already name dropped a few of them, your management company. We talked about Lunar Unlimited, but who else do we need to talk about before we let you go?
Just obviously, first and foremost, always my family. My family supports me like through this journey, thick and thin. I tell people I could be a painter or I could be a janitor or whatever, and they would support me the same way. They'd be like, yeah, come on, clean those damn floors. Like, that's the kind of support I get from my family. They're definitely number one, but also like the warriors and the people that are with me on an everyday basis here at Miller Martial Arts. Cole Miller, Lathan Lawson, Jesse James Wallace, and then all the training partners from Quentin. And you're going to see, you need to be on the lookout, all right, for a couple people, all right, from 25 to 70. These are all big names, okay? So remember these names. One of my main training partners, 125, Chase Boutwell. 135, me. 145, Quentin Culpepper. All right, 155, Homer Mangrove. And then 170, Lindsay Sweet Tea Jones. So y'all remember those names. Because we wouldn't be able to do what we do without it, training partners as well as coaches. So definitely shout out to the coaches, Cole Miller at Miller Martial Arts and Fitness, and Bubby Mitchell at Rush MMA. It's our partner team, and that's essentially Middle Georgia MMA. If you ain't heard about us, we just went 5-0 this last weekend on 2 separate shows. So y'all got notice, and yeah, I think that's about it. Family, friends, sponsors, any of the sponsors that continue to sponsor me. Shout out to millions.co, because they now give me a platform where you can buy this fresh Lunar Unlimited merchandise. If you go to millions.co and in the search bar, just put Moon, my profile will pop up. Click that profile, get you some Lunar Unlimited merchandise. It helps support me through this journey. And also, like, I'm trying to get my brand awareness out there, because I think the message that I'm putting out there is something that a lot of people need to hear. And I'm hoping that it can help, even if it's just one person along the journey. It'll make me feel better. And the more people we reach, the more people's lives we can change. So that's what I'm going to do with my brand, Lunar Unlimited. And go check it out. If you don't want to type it in, just go to the link in my bio on my Instagram or Facebook.
Or just go on to the description of this video, because by the time I post it up, I've already done all that hard work for you. The link for Moon's store, his Instagram handle, all that stuff is in the description for here. Be sure to check that out.
Last but not least, I got to thank you, Mr. Putnam, because...
Please, call me Baxter.
I got to thank Baxter for allowing fighters like us and giving us a voice and a platform to express ourselves and do what we do, because like fighting without the media is like the Fight Club. First rule about Fight Club, we don't talk about Fight Club. Like, nobody knows about it, right? But the more eyes and exposure we get, the better it is for our brand, the better it is for our lifestyle and the opportunities we can make better for ourselves and our families and what we're doing it for. So thank you. Y'all follow Mom's Basement MMA. check it out because he's always got hidden gems and great fighters and great people overall on this podcast. So.
All right. Well, just a huge honor, Moon. Appreciate your time. And I am looking forward to this next iKON fight where you get a dub. We'll be doing it again soon, brother.